one of his descendants. And that descendant was going to be his son, his own son, Solomon. And I want you to tell him all these things. So he also told him this. This is how good God is. When God says no, to some things, he always opens the doors of other opportunities. God said no to building this temple, but he also told David that you won't be able to build me. I'm not going to let you build me a house, but I'm going to build you a house. I'm going to build you a dynasty. And he said, David, I'm going to make your name great among the nations. Basically, he was telling David, I'm going to make you famous because of what you're going to do for me. And then he said this, someone from your family will always be on the throne as king. Will always be on the throne. Someone from your family. I promise you that. And see, that was a big deal for kings because when you were king, you always had to worry about getting assassinated. You always had to worry about people out there that were going to try to kill you and take you out because they wanted your position or they wanted someone else to have your position. So kings always had to be worried about that. And for God to tell David that, I'm sure that just gave him just extreme peace. Man, I have nothing to worry about. God said someone from my family will always be on the throne. And you may be thinking, is there someone from David's family on the throne right now? And that's answered through Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is on the throne and will always be on the throne as King Jesus. And God promised that through Jesus Christ. So that's the quick synopsis of 2 Samuel chapter 7. And I just want to point out a few things really quick this morning from this chapter and some things that we can learn from. The first thing is this, that David was a man after God's own heart. And we see that in the first couple of verses in this chapter. God had blessed him with peace, and he could have been sitting around enjoying the good life. He could have been enjoying all the things that kings could enjoy. But the number one thing on his mind was, what can I do for God? I mean, he had plenty of money. He could have been out there just living a pleasurable life. But he was always thinking about, what can I do for God? I want to build something for God. And see, that's a beautiful picture of a man being after God's own heart. That also looks like when a man after God's own heart is when whatever God cares about, we care about. So when we read our Bibles, we're like, man, I didn't know God cared about that. Well, I'm going to start caring about that. So whatever God cares about, we are to care about